from Kitty Hawk to Cape Kennedy. NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, presents Aeronautics and Space Report.
This is how the Surveyor 1 spacecraft looked as it descended to the surface of the moon. It was 2:17 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The date, June 2nd, 1966. When approximately 13 feet above the moon, all engines cut off, allowing the spacecraft to fall gently to the lunar surface. An Earth-sent command then turned on the Surveyor's television camera, and here are a few of the thousands of pictures returned. Some show close-ups of parts of the spacecraft and a revealing look at the moon's surface texture. Others show distant mountain ranges, many with great clarity. Planned for the future, 6 more Surveyor flights in the current series. Flights with instruments to measure surface hardness, lunar quake activity, and micrometeorite impacts. Information needed before men land on the moon. But to actually chart the moon, more pictures from a different perspective are needed. To take these pictures, another spacecraft called Lunar Orbiter will, as its name indicates, orbit the moon, photographing and mapping a wide area from as close as 25 miles up. The 850-pound orbiter will determine the height and slope of lunar mountains and the depth of craters. When combined with the data gathered by Surveyor, we will have answers to most of the questions affecting safety of the first lunar explorers, as well as invaluable scientific data about the moon. These scenes were photographed by the Gemini 9 crew as they rendezvoused with a target docking adapter. During the next 2-man mission, Gemini 10, there will be an attempt to meet and join up with an Agena target like this one. Astronaut John Young will be command pilot for the upcoming 3-day rendezvous and docking flight. Young flew aboard the first manned Gemini in March 1965. Co-pilot for the 10th mission, astronaut Michael Collins. It is Collins who will leave the Gemini craft, like this, for a spacewalk. Here, being tested, is a handheld maneuvering unit, similar to the one which Collins will use to propel himself through space. Rendezvous and docking, a walk in space, even tracking the stars. This is part of the mission plan for Gemini 10 pilots Collins and Young, now in training. This rocket at the Kennedy Space Center will never fly, but it will help space engineers launch other rockets to the moon and beyond. The 365-foot-high checkout vehicle is identical in size and weight to the giant Saturn V moon rocket. In a critical rehearsal for the lunar missions, the upright rocket was moved from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pad, more than 3 miles away. The significance of this demonstration is that assembly of future space rockets can take place indoors rather than on the pad, then stored and hauled out later as needed. The Saturn 500F, as this is called, will be used to train launch crews and develop test and checkout procedures prior to the first flights. For almost 10 hours, the mammoth crawler transporter carried its 12-million-pound load along a roadway specially built to stand the pulverizing weight of the double-track steel treads. This time, the Saturn crawled only to the pad, but it marked a giant step toward the first lunar landings.
This has been an Aeronautics and Space Report, presented by NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.